Good morning, buenos dias.
Good morning.
My name is Erin McKinney. My pronouns are she, her. I have the joy of serving on your board of trustees. It's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you. We invite you to fill out one of the visitor forms that are in the pews. Everyone present in the sanctuary today is welcome to join our in-person community time immediately following the service. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold up pluralism as one of our core values. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. This morning, we invite you to stop by Ex Libris, our very own bookshop, open during community hour. It's a wonderful place to browse, pick up a gift, or find your next good read, all while supporting the congregation. Come take a look after the service. And now Reverend Roger has something to share with the congregation.
It is a joy to welcome back Kay Kreider, who is a consultant with Stewardship for Us. We've been working with Kay for about a year, and this is her second visit on a Sunday morning. So we're going to give Kay a little time for a few words. Welcome.
Good morning. It's great to be with you again. You have a wonderful congregation. In 2025, more than ever, our UU values call us to be inclusive, compassionate, and act with shared purpose. Unity Temple is a beacon both within and beyond these walls and in the wider community. Our safe spaces, our justice work for marginalized people, our support for each other, and the nourishment of our spirits for all ages are all crucial in today's challenging world. This weekend, one of your new members told me that they moved to this community because it is a safe space for them, and they're not the only ones who have come to join you here. So this is the year to lean in and invest in our work together, and you have a unique matching challenge for increases in pledges. So some members have donated to a matching fund of $80,000 that will be used to either match or double or triple any increases in pledges. You'll be getting more information about this in the mail in the lead up to the annual fund drive for this upcoming 2026 church year, and that the fund drive launches on October 5th in just a few weeks. So part of that package will contain a What's in Your Cup one-page handout that is an acknowledgement that there's a range of economic circumstance. So read that document and find your category, and then decide how an increase in your pledge can help us meet that matching challenge. And this year, for about 1/4 of the congregation, part of the process will be a reach out from a GEM visitor. GEM stands for Generosity and Engagement Ministry, and it's a new thing that we're doing here for Unity and moving forward. So the bulk of the visit is simply to get to know each other, to connect, to be together in community, and we're eventually going to reach out to everybody in the congregation over the next 3 years. So please say yes when a GEM steward contacts you to get together. The focus is on sharing and what's happening in your lives. So our connections to each other are essential for us to nurture a space of wisdom, inclusivity, and service, and deep respect for all, in defiance of all who seek to oppress and exclude. So together now, in these times, we can continue to create a more just future through activism, education, and community building here at Unity Temple.
Thank you, Kay. We're so glad that you're with us today. I invite those of you here in person to take a moment and greet one another.
I'm Reverend Emily Gage. My pronouns are she and her. Our chalice lighter today is Emily Mace. Emily is our new intern minister. That means she's going to be learning how to be a minister among our congregation, serving part-time over the next 2 years. Emily has a PhD in American Religious History. She loves to knit, and her favorite color is blue. We're so glad to have her with us. Please join with me in the words of our chalice lighting. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
Good morning. My name is Cecile. I use she, her pronouns. You might have heard that pop star Taylor Swift and pro football player Travis Kelce are engaged. This ties to our theme, I promise. When I think of where I felt I belonged, I think of Berkeley, California. There, I never worried about people questioning whether I was with my husband and our mixed kids, because mixed-race families were accepted and we belonged. I think of attending Howard University Law School, where I was accepted as a fellow person of color. And because I belonged, I felt free to drop my defenses, insecurities that previously held me back from speaking freely in class or voicing my opinion. I was able to thrive as myself. Now back to the engagement. I'm really excited about this. Not because I'm a Swiftie, but because I'm a huge fan of Travis Kelce. He's from our hometown of Cleveland Heights, Ohio, and graduated from the same high school as my husband, Heights High. While my husband grew up there, I chose it to be my home because I felt I belonged. Having lived in another suburb of Cleveland, I find much of Ohio unwelcoming. The suspicious glances, the hateful political signs, the KKK farms. I often feel out of place and defensive. Yet anyone familiar with Northeast Ohio knows that the inner ring suburb of Cleveland Heights is special. On Google, it's described as a diverse, progressive, and vital city. As a resident, I knew it to be an inclusive community, fiercely dedicated to racial, religious, and gender equality. Travis Kelce was one of the few white NFL players who knelt in protest of police brutality. He and his brother have a popular podcast that extols the virtues of living in a diverse community where people can feel they belong. As a member of such a community, I happily cheer them on. And this special feeling of having a spiritual home and of belonging to a community is what keeps me at Unity Temple. I feel welcome and accepted with love. It is such a gift. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your life journey or in the world, you are welcome here. I invite you to rise in body or spirit to join in singing the opening congregational song, number 118, This Little Light of Mine.
Please remain standing and join in the reading of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
Thank you. My name is Maureen Crotty. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve on your spiritual care team. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. Sharing the joys and sorrows of our lives with each other is one of the ways we embody love in the congregation. Those attending in person may share your joys and sorrows in the binder outside the doors to the sanctuary. You can also email your joys and sorrows to us at spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. If you would like to talk with someone about what is on your heart, please feel free to contact the spiritual care team. We are here to listen and sit with you in times of both joy and sorrow. Today, there weren't any joys and sorrows put in the binders. However, we know that we hold some joys and sorrows in silence. We invite anyone who has a joy or a sorrow to come forward to drop a stone into the bowl of water at one of the 4 stations around the sanctuary. This ritual represents a mingling of our collective joys and sorrows. We invite you to engage in the spiritual practice of silence during this shared ritual. Let's begin.
Hello, my name is Emily Mace. I use she, her pronouns, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you today as I begin this time of serving as your intern minister for the next couple of years. I'd like to invite you into a time of prayer and meditation by taking a few breaths in the continuing quiet of the drop stones. I call us to share in the words of the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto from their collection of readings, Spilling the Light. This one draws from the words of the Book of Lamentations, the words being, "This is what I shall tell my heart, and so recover hope." Shall we speak life into each other's hearts, remembering, returning to the futures we are building, the infinite dimensions of growth we are committed to? A touchstone of loving kindness can be our starting place, unyielding cornerstone. This is what I shall tell my heart, that this community is, at its best, a source of unrelenting kindness, and that when the world is broken, on fire, at war, forgetting its humanity, we are here to say it back. Each beloved, all belong. not as a platitude, but as a way of living, a choice in being. That is what we shall tell our hearts, that to be alive is to hold tender as a sprouting plant one more chance to try again. Stubborn, yes, as plain to notice as all the ways that we have before this moment been unwilling to risk or to imagine that things could be different than they are now. Let us say to our hearts that are scarred and sometimes weary, that they can lead the way. We are prepared to follow. And on the path forward, we may find our endurance tested, but in the end discover that the consequence of action, natural, logical, magical, is a perennial specimen of hope. Holding these words, let us join in singing Spirit of Life.
If you are somebody who likes to come close when you're listening to a story, I invite you to come and sit down on the floor near me. I have a book today called Your Name is a Song. It's from Jamila Tompkins Bigelow, illustrated by Luisa Uribe. I'm not coming back ever again, the girl stomped. Please don't stomp unless we're stepping in a drill team, Mama said. Was your first day of school so bad? The girl looked down. No one could say my name. No one? Not even your teacher? Mama asked. She tried. It got stuck in her mouth. A street musician swayed and played. Mama closed her eyes until she swayed too. Tell your teacher that your name is a song. The girl wrinkled her brows. I can't say that. Names aren't songs. Sure they are. Take the name Ulumude. Ulumude is a melody, girl, and so is Kotone. The girl whispered names. Tap to tap went her feet. Mamadou is a beat. Tawandua stretches out like a love song. Yes, girl, names are songs. Sing your name. Your teacher will learn to sing it too. The girl did a jig as they walked on, but then her feet slowed. Umi, she called to her mama. During snacks, some girls pretended to choke on my name. At the red light, a car boomed hip-hop beside them. The bass pounded from their heads to their toes, even in their chests. Pat, pat, pat. Mama patted her chest. Tell those girls some names must be said from here, not the throat. Names come from your heart? The girl asked. Say the name, ha, from there. You got to go deeper to say, ahlam. As they crossed, the girl touched her chest. Juana is here. Ngozi goes deeper. It pokes me in the stomach. Yes, girl, from your heart, say your name. Those girls will learn to use their hearts too. The girl bopped to the beat as they walked on. In art, one boy's eyes got all wide when I say my name. Is my name scary? Wires sparked above a streetcar, and Mama and the girl jumped back, startled. Mama put a calming hand on the girl's shoulders. Tell that boy some names have fire. You can put fire in a name? Kwaku storms in on a Wednesday, and fire dances in Sagnika, Mama said. Names are that strong? The girl asked. Giomara fights a battle in your mouth. Tongues bow to say Bilkis. Yulong lunges like a dragon, and Udom is magnificent. The girl's lips trembled. Yes, girl, just like you. On her toes, the girl rose and kicked as they walked on. What about the kids at recess who said my name sounds made up? Mama pointed up. Tell them that made-up names come from there. From the sky, the girl asked. Made-up names come from dreamers. Their real names were stolen long ago, so they dream up new ones. They make a way out of no way, make names out of no names, pull them from the sky. The girl reached up to pull names too. Tajay and Trayvon, they sit on clouds with Yolante. Mama nodded. And Laquan and Lamika are the twinkle in stars, the glimmer in minds that think and tinker. Are those names new songs, the girl asked. Yes, girl, tell everybody to learn new songs too. The girl twirled and leapt to the sky, and they walked on. The next day, the girl didn't want to go to school, but she had songs to teach. Line up, Ms. Anderson hollered. The girl looked to the sky. She saw dreams and fire there. Miss Anderson hollered names. Benjamin, tap to tap went the girl's feet. Here. Siobhan, tap tap. Here. Olivia, to tap, here. The girl stopped tapping. Her name was getting stuck in Ms. Anderson's mouth again. The girl sang. The whole class stared. What are you doing? Ms. Anderson asked. I'm singing my name so you'll learn it. Names are not songs, Miss Anderson huffed. Ms. Anderson, sang the girl. Ms. Anderson frowned. Your name is a pretty song, said the girl. Miss Anderson's frown slowly turned to a smile. Why, thank you. What about me? Bob asked. What's my song? The girl belted out, Ba-ah-ah-ah-ah-ah. And other kids asked for songs too. She sang and sang their names. Miss Anderson asked, could we hear your song again? The girl sang her name. The teacher sang it back. One kid sang it, then another and another. Everyone sang her name. Coragelemoso. It was music to her ears. The end. All right, we're going to send you to Unity House. Ready?
Good morning. Each week, Unity Temple splits the offering evenly. One half supports the programs and mission of the congregation, and this week the other half goes to the Civics Center. The Civics Center works exclusively with high school students across the country to make voter registration an exciting part of the high school experience. They provide free training, district-level data, and easy-to-use materials for students, educators, and partners to run authentic, in-person, student-led voter registration drives in those schools. These drives are held twice yearly, in the fall to align with state registration deadlines, and again in the spring before graduation. An analysis by the Civic Center's online voter registration provider showed that in the 2024 general election, the turnout rate for 18 and 19-year-olds was 23 percentage points higher than the national average for those who had registered or pre-registered with the center. Consider that a full 40% of high school students do not go on to college. Once they leave school and join the workforce, they become harder to find and thus more difficult to register. Earlier voter registration is a matter of equity. You can learn more at theciviccenter.org. Directions for giving are in the back of the order of service and also on the screen. May you be transformed by your giving, and may the world be transformed by your gifts.
This reading is a poem called Say My Name by Malaika Gisa Fatei. Malaika is a proud Torres Strait Islander and Tongan storyteller that takes many forms. They descend from the Zagreb and Darab tribes of Mare Island and the villages of Faihifa in Tonga. My name was my name before I walked among the living, before I could breathe, before I had lungs to fill, before my great-grandmother passed and everyone was left to grieve. My name was birthed from a dream, a whisper from gods to a king, a shout into the stars that produced another that shone as bright. They held me without being burnt, humming lullabies in pidgin. My name was passed down from my ancestors. They acknowledged my roots grew in two places, so they ripped my name from the ocean and mixed it into the bloodlines of my totems. My name has survived the destruction of worlds and the genocidal rebirthing of so-called ones. It's escaped the overwhelmed jaw of the Deathbringer many a time. It has survived the conflicts that resulted in my gods from both lands knowing me as kin. But noticing that I am painfully unrecognizable and lost, they are incapable of understanding the foreign tongue that was forced on me. My name has escaped cyclones and their daughters. It has been blessed by the dead as they mixed dirt, salt, and liquid red into my flesh. My name is the definition of resilience. It is a warrior that manifested because of warriors. So, excuse me as I roll my eyes or sigh as you mispronounce my name over and over again. Or when you give me another that dishonors my mother and father, that doesn't acknowledge my lineage to my island home or the scents of rainforest and ocean foam. You will not stand here on stolen land and whitewash my name, for it is two words intertwined, holding as much power as a hurricane. Say it right or don't say it at all, for I am Malaika. I will answer when you call.
I've been part of a group of transitional UU ministers working on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our team's mission is to help all of our transitional ministers, me included, us included, be equipped to do DEI work in congregations. Our focus is threefold: to help transitional ministers, again, us included, do the internal work necessary to be effective in diversity, equity, and inclusion work. 2, to equip colleagues to help congregations do this work, even as they're doing the heavy lifting of ministerial transition period. And finally, help congregations do DEI work beyond the walls. So within each person, among the congregation, beyond the walls, is a good way to think about our focus on DEI work in congregations. So doing the work first as individuals, second among the congregation, and third beyond the walls. As Unitarian Universalists, we often like to just skip to that third step, because yes, the world really needs this, but it's going to be important for us to do those first two and to keep doing them. We don't graduate once I've got it now. We have to keep working on it. And if we don't do those first two, the internal and the among work, we will not be effective, and sometimes we can be even harmful beyond the walls. So, hopefully, as we all grow and experience the world, we also experience internal spiritual growth. And so, honestly, for a congregation to really practice radical welcome consistently, every one of us needs to work on this. It takes one microaggression comment for someone who's new or been here a while for them never to come back. And there is over and over that happening in UU congregations. Well, anyway, a person of color in this transitional group, ministers group working on this, kept saying to us, we need to include belonging in our work. This colleague observed repeatedly that even if we focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, all those good things, if we don't also focus on developing an inclusive sense of belonging, it's not going to amount to much. And it was so compelling that we eventually changed the name of our committee to the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee, DEIB. And so I knew when it came up that we were going to have this first month focused on building belonging in our new congregational year, that I wanted to do something about this. So I asked the colleague, can you share some resources that I could use in a sermon for this idea of belonging? And they had a few ideas, but most insistently they said, read chapter 9 in Brene Brown's book, Atlas of the Heart. Read that chapter. So I read that chapter. And the chapter is entitled, Places We Go When We Search for Connection, belonging, fitting in, connection, disconnection, insecurity, invisibility, loneliness. So Brown asserts, and this is a quote, that love and belonging are irreducible needs for all people. In the absence of love and belonging, there is always suffering. What makes belonging essential for us is the fact that we are a social species. We cannot survive without each other. Okay, hearing these words as often as true when I read Brene Brown, I think, amen, this is going to preach. So this chapter contains a beautiful description of the practice of building belonging. True belonging is the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you can share your most authentic self with the world and find sacredness in both being a part of something and standing alone in the wilderness. She concludes, true belonging does not require you to change who you are. It requires you to be who you are. So individuals thrive when they can do this practice of belonging internally, more on this next week, and when they belong to communities that do not require them to change, but encourage them to be who they authentically are. When this happens, this is beloved community. Last week I talked about beloved community as a verb. And so beloved community happens when people are welcomed as they are and are only asked to be themselves. And so it's not just communities like a congregation that thrive when this happens. For me, it's every kind of human gathering. And so drawing concentric circles from this physical center of our spiritual congregation, the neighborhood around us, Oak Park, West Chicago, the near west suburbs, Chicagoland, the state of Illinois, the states and provinces that we get to share this beautiful Great Lakes with, North America, Central America, South America, finally, our whole beautiful planet. And so I believe that building this practice of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging does a great deal to help all of these communities thrive, from the smallest scale to our global community. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging help each individual be who they are, not hide who they are, not pretend they're someone else, not change who they are, but be who they are. As I was writing this sermon the other day, I looked out the office window at our community center on South Boulevard. See, I can see through the lobby across the street to the train tracks across South Boulevard. And when I first started at Unity Temple, I did not like this view. So I have to admit, I was fresh from one of those UU congregations that is in the suburbs with woods surrounding it, which means no one knows it's there. But the view out my office window was unfailingly beautiful. Woods, a stream, deer, weasels, pileated woodpeckers, foxes, coyotes going by my office. There was a bear in the neighborhood, but never saw that. So the thing I fixated on when I came here, looking out the window here, was the crumbling tracks across the street. And I have to tell you, it was a hard adjustment. But then I broadened my gaze and I noticed those murals that grace the walls of that train track. Lately, they have been multiplying. There are 4 that I can see best now from my office. I love looking at these murals. I love looking at the Green Line and the metro trains going by and the freight trains. I love on sunny days that the light of them as they go by reflects in my office, and I noticed a while after being here that on Zoom in my background, you can see that. I mean, I am in Chicago, man. Okay, Oak Park, close. For me, crumbling tracks is a powerful metaphorical picture of a society that is crumbling. A crumbling society in which individuals are not allowed and encouraged to be who they are. One of the embodiments in history that I think exemplifies this and is justifiably notorious are the boarding or reservation schools for Indigenous kids in the United States and Canada. The whole purpose of these schools was to make Indigenous people be who the dominant white settler colonial culture wanted them to be, rather than who they really are. The education model, and it's a desecration to education to use it in that way, was built on coercion and enforced obedience. It included separating kids from their families, cutting children's hair, putting them in settler colonial clothing, forbidding them from speaking their language or practicing their religion, and forcing them to take new settler colonial names. This did not, needless to say, help indigenous children thrive. These schools were created to make children conform to this settler colonial vision for them or to destroy them. Reservation schools were built to disconnect, to isolate, and invisibilize indigenous children. So opposite of that history, that decimated indigenous well-being, opposite of a society corroded by practices that force people to be who they are not, the beauty of the murals along South Boulevard conveys a picture of a society where individuals are encouraged to be who they are celebrated for who they are encouraged to share those gifts like the artists that are creating those murals. And so I love it when people are respected and celebrated for who they are, including by things like trying to pronounce their names correctly and to use the pronouns that they wish to be used for them. And I think I forgot to share my pronouns at the beginning, he, him. This is why when I looked at 4 books for the Message for All Ages that Emily shared and said, these might work, the book that Emily read jumped out at me. This is why when I searched for reading, the poem by Malaika Giza Fatafehi jumped out at me. Disrespecting people's names and pronouns sows seeds of disconnection, isolation, and invisibility. Respect for people's names and pronouns is a sign, it is a building block for beloved community. So, we are, of course, living in a moment when our national government and many state governments, happily not Illinois, are attacking the principles of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. These attacks are organized, they are well designed, they are systematic, and they are relentless. Many organizations, from law firms to universities to corporations that previously had shown a commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, at least some commitment, are bowing to the pressure and abandoning those principles. And every time this happens, fewer human beings have the opportunity to flourish and thrive. This attack on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging is an assault on the well-being of individuals, especially those who have long been marginalized by the dominant community. It is a recipe for our whole nation to be less, to crumble. And so I refuse to step back from this work for myself, for the communities I belong to, like the Transitional Ministers Chapter and Unity Temple, and from all those concentric circles going out to the world. Inspired by a recent comment by Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, I say, rather than stand idly by while beloved community and a commitment to helping all people thrive are lost, I dissent. My vision for this nation is that it is a multicultural nation with a richness where all people can thrive. I'm a person with privilege. I would like to have everyone feel a sense of privilege, and we're all in it together. When everyone thrives, I thrive. When others thrive, I thrive. We all thrive when we have opportunity. When political violence happens, as it clearly is more commonly happening in the United States today, I try to be consistent in responding in 3 nonviolent ways, regardless of what the victim of the attack articulated and believed in. First, I lament the suffering of people attacked and their loved ones. And so I do that this week for Charlie Kirk and for his loved ones. This does not mean I support the ideas advocated by him or others who are attacked. It is possible to lament violence, to feel empathy for the people attacked and their loved ones, and also remain resolutely opposed to their ideas. Second, I decry political violence. Rising political violence is a sign and symptom of a crumbling society and a crumbling common good. And third, when guns, especially high-powered guns that should not be legal, are used, I advocate again for common sense gun control. It should not be possible to get easily a weapon that you can use to kill someone 450 yards away. And this needs to be said every time there's political violence, regardless of who is the target and what they stand for. And saying it does not negate empathy for those who are suffering in the wake of that. So the terrible political violence witnessed this week, destructively spread through social media these last few days. This is not the vision of the country I have. It's not the vision of communities I'm part of. My image, rather, is this. May we work to build this kind of a congregation, this kind of a community around us, this kind of a nation and world where all can, in Brene Brown's words, be here, be you, belong. Our closing song today is number 1051. If you are a music reader, I encourage you to look at the screen instead, because we're going to ignore some of the repeats. So, one of those times. I invite everyone to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing, "We Are." Closing words today come from Michelle Collins. As we leave this sacred hour, may the welcome we received become the welcome we extend. Let us meet the world with open hearts, open hands, and the audacity to build spaces every soul will feel at home in. And let's join in the chalice extinguishing words. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.